me. So let's go to enter the draft. This is more public, not the PFF, uh, way. So we'll start the draft here. So for you people on the YouTube, uh, you're gonna see this and you're gonna go, "Wow, this is the draft." Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the last one that you saw, it wasn't good at all. Was not good at all, and it is what it is. So here we go. Let's go and let's draft here. We're gonna draft. Uh, let's hit the start draft button and let's see where we go. Now this is a lot better for us because the last draft, if you saw it on the main podcast, which if you're on YouTube, you can go there and you can check it out. But it was totally just dumb. I mean, we had Cam Ward at pick 28, which made no damn sense. But let's look at the first. Let's look at this draft so far. Cam Ward goes number 1 to uh to the Tennessee Titans, which is a good pick. Travis Hunter number 2 to the Browns. Abdul Carter went to 3 to the Giants. 4 Ashton Genty. 5 Mason Graham. That's a good pick. John A. Barron went from Texas. The cornerback went to the Raiders. Will Campbell went to the Jets. Good pick for Aaron Glenn. McMillan, who went second overall in that first draft. If you ride the YouTube or the podcast, you heard about that. He went second to the Browns in the first draft, but we had to redo it because somehow that draft was all messed up. So McMillan went 8 to the Panthers. So Bryce Young will be his quarterback. The Missouri tackle Membu, he is going to be the guy that they draft for the Saints. He is a huge tackle. Tyler Warren. This is an interesting one for the Chicago Bears. He goes to the Chicago Bears. Very interesting pick right there for all intents and purposes because Tyler Warren is a huge weapon. He will be a very good player in the NFL. Jahad Campbell goes to the 49ers at 11. Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas, goes to the Dallas Cowboys, and he stays in Texas. Pick 13 is the Dolphins. They pick Will Johnson. Mike Green goes to the Colts. Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College, edge rusher who Mel Kiper mocked to Detroit. He goes pick 15 to the Falcons. Kenneth Grant to the Cardinals. Shamar Stewart at 17 to the Bengals. Michael Williams at 18 to the Seahawks. Malachi Starks at 19 to the Buccaneers. Emeka Ibuka goes to Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Jalen Walker goes to 22. He is going to be the pick for the Chargers. Josh Simmons, the tackle, goes to Green Bay. Walter Nolan, the defensive lineman, goes to Minnesota at pick 24. Kelvin Banks goes to the Houston Texans, who traded Laramie Tunsil. They get Kelvin Banks from Texas. Colston Loveland, the Rams pick him up. They needed a tight end, supposedly, and they picked him. James Pierce goes to the Baltimore Ravens. And if there's one player that really freaks me out going to the Baltimore Ravens, it's James Pierce, because that seems like a match made in heaven. Now, we're seeing who's available for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, you see Luther Bolden is available. Omarion Hampton's available. The cornerback Siobhan Revel is available. He's a pretty good player. Gray Zabel is available. Derek Harmon, Trey Amos, Nick Scorton, Xavier Watts, Darius Alexander, who I called Darius Robinson earlier in the podcast. Oops. TJ Sanders. And Tyleek Williams is also available, and so is Landon Jackson. Now, if we go through it, obviously, you look at Derek Harmon. If you're on the YouTube, you're seeing this, but his run defense grade was 80.5. His pass rush grade was 86.3. I like his pass rush win rate, which was 17.6. That's a pretty good barometer. And his run stop rate was 7.1, which is pretty damn good. And he played pretty good against Ohio State, played pretty good against Michigan, played pretty good against Maryland. He had his 2 best games against Ohio State, which is a higher competition, so he played good in the big games, and, those were his 2 of his best games. I mean, Ohio State and, Ohio State twice that he played. He played him in the Big Ten championship game, so he had a pretty good year. The analysis for him, he has shades of Christian Barmore. Harmon has just 1 year of notable production, but that season showcased a player of high football IQ, consistent competitiveness, and NFL level quickness. He could be a 3 technique defensive lineman for an even front. And you can see that there's trends and all that jazz. They keep saying that he has 1 year of production, and that's because Michigan State sucked, but he played at Michigan State and he was pretty good. I watched him a lot. Gray Zabel, as you can see, his pass rush grade was 93.1, which is fantastic. He had a great game against the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders. His run block grade was really, really good. Zone grade was really, really good. Gap grade was really good. He's only allowed 4 sacks through 3 years. So that's a pretty good barometer to what he is. And when you look at the analysis from it, Zabel is a 5-position lineman who brings everything but elite arm length to the position. He's an easy projection to start at center or guard for primarily a zone blocking team, but he is well-rounded enough to be a run game versatile. They shades of Graham Barton. So that is an interesting one for us. Let's look at Nick Scorton. This is another guy who a lot of Lions fans are interested in. He's 13% of people have mocked to the Detroit Lions. This is a guy who plays in a 3-4. But I think here for the Detroit Lions, I think it makes the most sense to draft Derek Harmon. I don't know about you, but I look at this list, and I potentially can get an edge rusher in round 2. Let's see who the edge rushers would be available in round 2. Princely, okay, there's some guys that could be available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draft Derek Harmon. And the reason I'm going to draft Derek Harmon is because I think it's so important that you draft defensive tackles and you draft good defensive tackles. And, we know DJ Reader potentially could be a guy who could be, he's an older guy, so he could retire, next year. He's in the last year of his contract. So that would be an interesting draft pick right there. And I always think that, like I'm gonna be completely honest with you. To be honest, I think the most important part here, from my status is, I think a guy like Derek Harmon fits this team way better. And I tell people all this all the time. Like, everyone looks at the edge rushers and they're like, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher. When you lost against Commanders, where did most of that pressure come from? The middle. And when you have good interior pressure up the middle, what's stopping you? Now, when you get Lee McNeil back and you have DJ Reader, McNeil, and Derek Harmon and Levi Onwuzurike, that's a match made in heaven for 4 defensive tackles. And then you add in a guy like Mekhi Wingo. And if Roderick Martin doesn't pan out, it does not matter because you drafted his replacement and he's put on notice. So I think a guy like there's some good edge rushers that will be available in the second round. This is a very deep draft in the offensive line, the defensive line routes, and the cornerback routes. So I'm going to go Derek Harmon here. And that's why I'm going to go with Derek Harmon. So we will go Derek Harmon. So let me put this back up. We're going to go Derek Harmon, and we're going to see where we land in the next pick. So we get to this pick, and this is an interesting pick right here because this is your 60th pick. You have picks remaining: 102, 130, 196, 228, 244. Let's look at the edge rushers that are available. Let's look at the inside interior offensive linemen, and let's look at the defense. Let's look at the edge rushers that are available. So Kyle Kennard is there. Josiah Stewart is there. who has been put on visits with the Detroit Lions. Jordan Birch is there. Um, Quandarius Robinson is there. There was a lot of guys that I thought could potentially be there, like a Jack Sawyer, like a Jared Ivey. They were drafted. JT Tuilabalu was drafted there, and Princely was a guy I was looking at too. But if you're gonna make me pick, because I look at this and I looked at the edge rushers, and I mean those were the first three I seen, and I go, okay, whatever the case may be, the case may be. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna look at, so you look at this. There's Tate Rutledge as a guard, but there's not many. You could probably get a guard later on. I think there's some pretty good guards later on. So let's look at the players one for one, and let's see who we like better. So there is Kyle Kennard. When you look at him, he's 6'5", 254. It says Kennard shows a good understanding of how to win as a pass rusher in varying situations in both odd and even fronts. He is lean and strong, which is a plus for arm length, but a negative when holding up against his run. His handwork and footwork show a great baseline to build a successful pass rush profile in the league as a day 2 selection. So that's what they say about him. Bottom line, Kennard shows a good understanding of how to win. We heard that. So let's look at his stats. So his run stop rate, he's not good as a run guy. He had 10 sacks last year, 7 the year before. He had 2 in 2022. 23 hurries this year. That's pretty good. 6 hits on the quarterback. But he's not a good run stop guy. 3.8%. That's not that great as a run stop guy. So I'm going to stay clear of Kyle Kennard just for that reason, because I know I see that he is versatile, but I also see that he's not a guy that really takes on a run. Josiah Stewart. This is a guy that really interests me. He has played good against some good tackles, like in the Texas game, he has 75.9 Pro Football Focus grade. He's played against some pretty good tackles in the Big Ten and outside the Big Ten. You can see his run stop rate is 8.3, which is really good. Pass rush win rate, which I always look at, is high off the charts, 27.7. And when you look at this, it goes, Stewart is a juiced up pass rusher with less than ideal measurables because he's 6'1", 245. His effort and leverage give him a chance to win every rep, but he lacks pass rush nuance to win more than those attributes and a good first step. His best spot might be as an off-the-ball Sam linebacker, where he could be used as a blitzer more than a straight edge rusher. Think Uchenna Nwasu, which is interesting because obviously we know the Detroit Lions are they're 4-3 defense that we think now. Could they be a potential 3-4 defense? And if they do go to the 3-4 defense, Josiah Stewart would make a ton of sense. So let's look at Jordan Birch. Again, 15.7 pass rush win rate, really good. Run stop rate is not good, and that's not I don't like that at all. Birch is a high potential player with athletic physical gifts that you cannot teach. He's 6'6", 295, so he kind of profiles more. He can play in both odd and end fronts, but projects best as a 4-3 defensive end. If he continues to master more pass rush moves and hand usage, he could be a starter and a contributing player. So he is a guy who could be potentially a guy who you could be like, okay, he could be that guy. Let's look at this guy, Elijah Roberts from SMU. Roberts is 6'4", 295. Roberts is a strong, well-built defensive lineman who has a lot of experience at defensive alignments. He plays 3-4. He has but his size and versatility could play well as a 3-4 defensive end who can move along gaps. So let's go back to his stats. I understand he comes from the American Conference, but he had a great game against Penn State right there. And he had a great game in the conference championship against the Clemson Tigers. I am tempted to go with this guy because based on You don't know who is going to be potentially. You don't know who could potentially. What defense you're going to run? Are you going to run a 3-4? If you run a 3-4, I like Josiah Stewart. If you're not running a 3-4 or you're running a hybrid, I like Elijah Roberts for that reason alone. So that we're going to go Elijah Roberts here. So we get to pick 102. There is a lot. The top players on the board are Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from Washington State, Devin Neal, the halfback from Kansas. We got Andrew Mukuba from Texas, Dorian Strong, Delaney Walker, Cameron Rocker, Jaden Blue, Jeffrey Bassa, the Oregon linebacker, who I do like, Isaiah Bond. Here's a guy that the Lions had as a visit. It could have been a visit, but he is a 6'4", 217 kid. His stats are are really well done. I don't know why Pro Football Focus doesn't really profile his stats, but he had 532 yards last year, 3 TDs. Looks like a pretty good player. 60% of them have the goals. There's not much on Isaac. That's a guy who obviously the Lions had interest in. Jonas Sanker, another guy who the Detroit Lions had on their top 30 visits. This is a guy who has a lot, 15 coverage stops. Forced incompletion rate was 15.4. Let's look at what they say about him. They don't say much about him, so you just gotta PFF guys get it together. Come on, boys. So what we're gonna do at 102 is going to be interesting. So let's see what kind of guards they got available here. Because we're picking at 102, and there's guys like Seth McLaughlin, Tyler Cooper, Willie Lampkin, and Dylan Fitzgerald, Miles Frazier. All right, I'm not really gonna go down this wormhole and try to pick a guy who I don't believe is going to be a good player. So let's go back to all of them, and let's look at it like this. Andrew Mukuba, I know the Lions have 2 good safeties, but they lost Ifeatu Melifonwu. I like this kid a lot, but I think it's going to be very, very interesting what they do. Now, the next pick for the Detroit Lions is at 130. And we're going to see where Sanker would be in the range for us. Is he going to be there at 130? Potentially not. So let's try to do this in real time. Dorian Strong. Do they need another corner? No. Deone Walker. Again, I love the pass rush win rate. The run stop rate's pretty good. He had 4 sacks last year, 8 sacks the year before, 3 sacks the year before. 18, 39, and 20. He's a disruptive guy in that thing. Walker's measurables at 6'6", 345. Walker's measurables will jump out immediately, but his play on the field doesn't match the dominant suggestion on paper. He's a versatile defensive lineman due to his height and weight, but he needs more precision in pass rush to hold more ground. This is a Detroit Michigan kid too, so this would be an interesting pick as well. But God, this is such an interesting pick, guys. This is something I'm not sure who I would go with. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of guys on the board. Like Bassa is a guy I like. Isaiah, if we needed a wide receiver, I'd go with Isaiah Bond or anybody. But we got an edge rusher. So earlier in the draft, we got an edge rusher in Elijah Roberts. We got a defensive lineman in Mr. Derek Harmon. I'm gonna double dip. With interior defensive linemen, and I'm gonna put. I don't know. Maybe you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go Deone Walker, the defensive lineman from Kentucky. I'm gonna go with him here. Let's see what Cameron Rocker. I forget. Cameron Rocker. Good. This could be an interesting pick as well. Rocker is a smart, sound, outside linebacker type of edge rusher who uses quick hands. He is a dependable player who would be well out as a depth chart as a pass rush specialist in a 3-4 alignment. So, again, what are the Lions going to run? What are the Lions going to run? Are they going to run a 3-4? Are they going to run a 4-3? Are they going to run a 4-3 hybrid, which was like a 3-4, 4-3 mix? That's the question. So my pick is depending on, do you go to DLN Walker? I love his measurables at 6'6", 345. He's 105 on the PFF big board rank. So he's right in the range of where you are drafting at 102. A guy like Cameron Rocker, Kyman Rocker, he's at 106. Again, he's a 23-year-old. He's gonna be a outside a linebacker type guy. And then I don't know. This is a tough pick. Ashton Gillett, he's a pass rush run rate of 20.9%. This is another edge rusher. He's from Louisville. 6'3", 275. He plays. He's an impressive run defender. He can slide play 3, defense tackle play, pass rush run rate. When his pass rush win percentage and pressure numbers are high, but he doesn't turn those into sacks at a high rate. And you look at some of the guys that are on the board. Then you look at Jonas Sanker, who is from Virginia, and he's had some really good. He's played in the slot. He's played in the box. He's played deep. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a chess piece. I'm going to hear it in the third round or second round. We're in the second round. Where are we? Are we in the third round? Yeah, third round, pick 38. So, because I thought for some reason we were in the second round for some reason, because I read, but I scrolled up. Anyways, so here's what I'm gonna do. I know people are on the podcast are like, "Come on, dude, pick the freaking pick." So, or if you're on YouTube, you're gonna say that. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give Mr. Calvin Shepard a chess piece. I was gonna go Deone Walker, and I still might. I want to see the safeties that are in this draft that I could maybe get a safety late in the draft. No. All right. Let's see. For you people on the podcast, I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, where could we go? Simeon Barrow is another guy. Okay, so that's a potential guy you can get, the defensive lineman right there. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna give Calvin Shepard a chess piece. This is the guy who the Detroit Lions have held on a top 30 visit to Detroit, and that's Jonas Sanker. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I'm gonna draft him. First of all, I watched a couple of the games. He played pretty well. He played at Virginia, which no one watches their football games. They're absolute disaster as a football team. So I'm going to take Jonas Sanker here because I don't know what trades do I got. There's a lot of teams I want to trade, but I'm not trading out of this pick. I feel like it's too valuable right now. I'm going to take Sanker. Let's see where we go at pick 130. So we get to pick 130. Obviously, we have picked some interesting players here. Derek Harmon, round 1, pick 28. Elijah Roberts at round 2, pick 60. We picked Jonas Sanker, third round, 102. So here's what we're going to do. We look at all the players that have been drafted ahead of us. Jaden Blue went to the Broncos. Quindarius Robinson, who the Lions had on a top 30 visit, went to the Falcons in the fourth round at pick 118. Jeffrey Bassa to the Panthers. Rocker went to the Bills. Walker went to the Jaguars. So he's gone. So let's see what edge rushers that are available. Let's see what defensive linemen are available. Let's see what's in interior linemen, and let's see what highest guy on the board is. Savion Jones. So if we want to go wide receiver, I know that they held him on a visit, so maybe we can go there. Just based on their top 30 or whatever. But I don't like his statistics. I watched. There's not he didn't really get that many receptions. I mean, Arkansas is not a great team either, so it is what it is. But let's see what we could do here. All right. But he is the highest guy on the board right now. So he is the highest guy on the board. Antoine Powell Ryland is the highest edge rusher on the board. So let's cancel this out and let's see where we are at. All right. So this is a guy. There's a lot of this is where I love when you get to this point in the draft, because what happens when you get to this point in the draft here is you don't know which way to go. You know what I'm saying? Like you really don't know which way to go. Like, do I go with a guy who has upside? Do I go with a guy that I know? Do I go with a guy like I know a lot of these guys, but I don't know if they're going to be really good pro players. You obviously are not going to go by position, because if you go by position, you're going to get a crappy player. So that is what it is. So we're looking at all these guys. Jack Kaiser is a guy who interests me. You look at his statistics; he's a really good player. Not a good, not a good. They don't have anything on him on his statistics, on his scouting profile. So Jack Kaiser's a guy I like. This is gonna be an interesting pick here in the 4th round at pick 28. God. So, this is an interesting one. This is a very, very interesting one. Because there's a lot of players that are available that I like, but they're not positions of need that the Detroit Lions need. I know Pro Football Focus thinks they need a wide receiver, which potentially could be the case. When I look at the wide receivers here, Ty Felton, kid from Maryland, 6'2", 186. He's not someone I'm really happy with. Contested catch rate is 38%. Isaac Tassila was 71.4%, so I do like that. But he didn't drop any passes. I don't really think they have a really good. I really don't think they have a good scouting report on this kid. To be honest, I really just, you got to work him out because you got to see what he is. But if we're going off what I know, which who knows? Nick Nash is the guy that I do like. I think he's a very talented player as a wide receiver. But this is an interesting part of the draft. These next 4 picks are going to be tough, and no one's going to nail them. Like, no one's going to be exactly right. Barrett Carter, I don't like that coverage grade. Don't like that effort missed tackle rate. Don't like that. Zay Alexander. Do we go with a cornerback? Here's what I'm gonna do. I think the cornerback draft in this draft is deep, and I like Zay Alexander a lot. I watched him at LSU. I think he could be a damn good player. He's a good player in the run. He's a good player in the coverage. His completion percentage is 43.5%. This is a guy I was actually leaning towards, and I'm going to draft him there. All right. We're going to get to the Lions right now. Pick 196. Ahead of us, Jack Nelson, the tackle from Wisconsin, went to the Rams. A lot of players. Emory Jones went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need a tackle, so that's good for them. Wow, there's a lot of guys available now. Here we go. There is a ton of dudes here. All right. Let's see what we got available. Let's see what interior offensive linemen are available here at pick 196. So Dylan Fairchild is the guy who is available. He has He's allowed 1 sack in 3 years. So here's what I'm gonna do. I kind of figured he would be here. I figured Miles Frazier would be here. I figured Jake Majors would be here. That 4th round pick that we were just picking, that was a ridiculous pick. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna draft Dylan Fairchild. I think he's a good player for this position. I think he's a good player at this spot. So we're gonna go with him. All right. So we're at pick 228, round 7, pick 12. So when you get to this point in the draft, this is like nailing winning numbers on a lottery ticket. You know, if you can get a useful player, cool. If you can't get a useful player, I mean, it's a 7th round pick. There's a reason they're 7th round picks. But you would like to get one of those guys who is an undrafted free agent that you thought was going to be really good. So the picks that we had, we drafted Jonas Sanker, we drafted Elijah Roberts, we drafted Derek Harmon, we drafted Zy Alexander from LSU, the cornerback, and we drafted Dylan Fairchild. So we have a full competent of what we could do. We can go wide receiver. We can go linebacker. Let's look at the wide receivers. Let's look at the linebackers, and let's see where we're at. So there's a lot of guys available. Will Shepard is an interesting one. He's from Colorado, 6'3", 205. There's Kyron Lacey, another guy. His contested catch rate is gross. Again, I think contested catch rate is huge. So I pick on Konata Mumfield, and he is a 6'1", 185. He's not a bigger guy. He doesn't have to be. Ron St. Brown isn't a big guy. Andrew Armstrong, this is a kid who is from I think he's from Hudsonville, if I'm correct. Andrew, let me look it up real quick. Andrew Armstrong. Andrew Armstrong. No, he's not. He's from Dallas, Texas. He's 6'4", 203. I love his contested catch rate. I love contested catch rate. And I tell you why. The reason I love contested catch rate for 2 reasons is I think that it means that you fight for the ball. It means that you fight for a chance to get the ball and you make the catch. So right off the hop, I like these 2 wide receivers right here. I think that these are guys that I would really go after. And they should have been drafted way higher based on their Pro Football Focus rank, and their average draft position through the Pro Football Focus draft simulator is 215. So here's what I'm gonna do. Konata Mumfield, come on down to the Detroit Lions. I think he's a really good player. So I'll take him for that. Because his contested catch rate was sick. Okay, let's see what we got here. Now let's see the defensive linemen. Let's see the edge rushers. You're gonna take a stab at it, right? You're gonna take a stab at it. So we have a lot of guys to pick from here at 244. All of them are under the pick. So it is interesting to see what we can do here. No, we don't want Graham Mertz. I'm trying to see if there's anyone available that could potentially be a guy that Lions be interested in, but I really can't find a guy. Kyron Lacey, like I said, his contested catch rate is not good enough for my liking, so it is what it is. Seth Hannigan, nope. Edge rusher Johnny Walker, you could take a stab at that. No. All right, so this last pick of the draft, it's a total stab at the wind. And when you get to this point, you're going to take the best of pit player available on the board. And you just took a wide receiver, but you're going to take another one. And either one of these guys, Elijah Badger, but you just took a guy who is 6'1". So we're going to take Andrew Armstrong from Arkansas. And it's not because he's the best player on the board. I mean, I know who Andrew Armstrong is. I know who Raheem Sanders is. I know all these guys are. But when you get to this point in the draft, it's very difficult to say this player is going to be better than this player. This player is not going to be better than this player, and that's what you get. That's when you get yourself in a little bit of trouble where you're saying, "All right, we're going to go this guy, but we're not going to go this guy. We're going to go this guy, but we're not going to go this guy." It's just it's a really difficult situation to put yourself in. So we're going to go Andrew Armstrong. We're going to draft him. We're going to end this mock draft, and this is what we got as a grade. Let's see what we got as a grade. So they said we should have drafted Luther Bolden. I don't know about that. We got a B- as a draft grade, which is really good, in my opinion. So they didn't like the pick of Elijah Roberts. They did not like the pick of Jonas Sanker. They did not like the pick of Zaya Alexander. They loved the later round picks, and it is what it is. So this is the Detroit Lions draft. This is mock draft 1.0. Obviously, when you look at this, it just goes to show you that this is a total crapshoot, because when you put yourself in the simulation, there's things that happen that are beyond your control. So you're kind of like, okay, we could do this, we could not do this. Very interesting situation. But this is the Lions mock draft, and out of the guys that we picked, I'm very confident in a guy like Sanker because the Lions have had him on a top 30 visit, which they do like to draft those guys. Elijah Roberts is a guy who I think is a guy who can play in the 3-4 or 4-3. So because we don't know what defense the Detroit Lions are going to run, I do like him there. Derek Harmon, I love the defensive tackle. Look, we overdrafted on Elijah Roberts in terms of PFF's big board. We overdrafted on the 3rd round pick. We overdrafted 12 picks over the cornerback, Zaya Alexander. But we got a really good pick for Dylan Fairchild compared to. That's why the PFF big board and the grade, that's why it's leaning towards a B-, because if you would have hit in one of those 2, 3, 4 picks, which could be great picks, I think they will be good picks. I think Sanker is going to be a damn good player. But look, PFF doesn't like him. They don't even have a scouting report on him. I mean, it was insane. So they said Luther Bolden is a better need than Derek Harmon. I have a hard time believing that. So that is the Detroit Lions mock draft 2.0. I mean 1.0. And yeah, this was a good start